Welcome to Bite Size Dental Marketing. I got Eric Vickery. Eric is the president of coaching at All Star Dental Academy, and he is the taller, handsomer Eric, who I love to watch speak. 3 or 4 times now. I can't say enough amazing things, man. I've heard you speak a ton on growing a practice.
Yes.
I'm a 10, and I forgot the rest, but I'm a 10.
That's all you need to know. You are a 10, my friend. You absolutely are.
Yeah. But there's a million strategies out there. There's a million coaches. There's a million philosophies. In your opinion, what are the 2 ways that a practice increases in valuation or in revenue or in production, whatever measure it is, right?
Doesn't matter. Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the fact is there's only 2 ways to grow a practice, period. And if I ask the team, I do this often, I say, what are the 2 ways to grow a practice? Number 1, right out the bat, they got it. They say new patients, pain-free dental marketing, right?
Sounds easy.
It sounds so easy. We just get more new patients, we will grow the practice. That's number 1. And then I say, well, what's the second way to grow a practice? They think for a while and they'll say, overdue hygiene patients, get them in. I'll say, well, that's the same classification because we're going to call category number 1 butts in seats. Okay. You need people in your practice to grow, right? Now, there's also the law of diminishing returns. You ever seen a doctor trying to run 4 hygiene chairs, 5 hygiene chairs? That's not going to work either. So yeah, there is the unlimited growth of butts and seats, but at some point it kills you. Mm-hmm. So there's a perfect number to get at, and everybody's a little different there, but you got to have butts and seats to do it. So I'll say, okay, so those 2 categories are the same. What's the second way to grow a practice? And they'll say, ask for referrals. And I'll say, well, that gets you new patients. That gets the same response, right? Butts and seats. The second, and every now and then someone will hit this. They'll hit a home run off this. I'll lob one up there. They'll get it. I say, the second way to grow a practice is what? And they finally get it. They say, it's doing dentistry. It's doing more dentistry per butt and seat.
I think I would have said revenue per hour.
Okay. So we call it production per hour,
right?
Net production per hour or production per patient. Both are important. Per hour it trumps, obviously, because you can see too many patients and drive that production per patient number down. You could not have enough patients and your production per patient could be really high, but your production per hour will be low, like cancellations, open time, not enough butts and seats. So we actually want both those numbers pretty even. That's a healthy place to be. You're not stressed out seeing too many patients, heart attack, all that sort of thing coming.
Right.
But we also know that you got to produce so much per sit down. And I'll use the analogy with doctors. Look, you want to do, 5 crowns a day. Do you want to do that on 5 patients? You're going to do that on 1 or 2 patients. Or we'll use another analogy. I'll say, hey, you ever seen, 20 patients in a day? You're exhausted at the end of the day and you look back at the production, you go, that's all we produced. So, but then you see 6, 7 patients in a day. I mean, it's just a nice, easy day at the end of the day. And you go, wow, that's what we produced. And look at how healthy we got people. It's a huge win-win. So when you think about from a coaching standpoint and our KPI coaching that we do at All Star, we think from that approach. Do you have enough butts and seats? And do you know how to produce? Do you know how to get patients healthy during that sit down? Okay.
No, I think the biggest lie or the biggest mistruth that I hear a dentist talk about is the patients in my area don't accept treatment. They just rather have me pull a tooth. Is that the biggest lie we hear?
Yeah, because every single dentist says that in every
single dentist, from New York to San Francisco to Cleburne, Texas.
Yes, I have clients in Arkansas, Alabama, Oklahoma, Missouri, Florida, New York, Maine, Minnesota. We were in Minnesota together. California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Montana. We got clients everywhere. We have coaches from Alaska to Maine and everywhere in between. And every office says the same thing. Well, you don't know our patients. They just would rather.
You don't know my patients.
Yes. So is it true that patients say that? Probably. But is it just to your area? No. And is there a way to solve that? Yes. But you have to have a system. So growth pattern 2 is in relation to what you're talking about. The problem is you have to have a system built around case acceptance. Well, you have to know what you're doing wrong sometimes and know how to do it right. And so with coaching, we're not scripting you. We're teaching you systems on how to accomplish that. So let's back up a moment. Okay. Let's just quickly move number 1 out of the way. Marketing, asking for referrals. right? Pay some money, external marketing, use pain-free dental marketing to get the phone to ring, ask patients for referrals to hopefully create a buzz, get Google reviews. Right? These are
Make
all
sure you're
social
reappointing
media.
people, that you're not letting patients walk out the door.
95% or higher reappointment rate for hygiene. All those things have to be done. But this is the point. If you're spending money or asking for referrals, doing all the social media, getting Google reviews, that will make the phone ring, but that's no guarantee that you schedule that patient that calls.
Right.
So the first thing you have to understand is butts and seats. What is your call conversion rate when a new patient calls your office? I implement this tracker, or we use a system for understanding how good we are at that, and team members just groan. They go, I got to track how good I am at my job. Are you kidding me? Sounds so bad when I say it that way, but they will literally roll their eyes when I give them our new patient call tracker. And I say, how many phone calls are you getting from new patients, and how many of them are you scheduling? Okay. If you are willing to measure it, you will have an opportunity to improve it, right? What you measure, you improve. So that's the first thing I would say is you got to have a system for how to schedule new patients when they call in. At All Star, we use the Great Call process. And I will tell you, 64% of the time, team members simply don't ask the patient if they want to schedule. So when we do GREAT, GREAT, the A is ask for the appointment. And it has a flow to it. There's a reason it's there and not somewhere else. And most administrative people just get in the habit of taking a phone call. You'll physically see a response. They're taking care of something in the office administratively. I'll be there observing. A coach will be there observing. The phone will ring, and there'll be a physical reaction to that phone ringing. Oh,
no, it just represents more work to them.
It's an interruption.
A new patient. Yeah.
It's an interruption when it is the lifeline to growing a practice, and you have to treat it as such. So when you pick up that phone, I'm a big Disney World guy. You pick up the phone. When I call, they say, welcome home, because they know me so well, I suppose. I'm a Disney Vacation Club member. So they say, welcome home, Mr. Vickery. Like, it's like they knew I was, like, they were so happy I called. I'm not an interruption. So the first thing you talked about being a 10, the first thing you have to overcome is your mindset when it comes to new patients calling your practice. Second thing is, do you have a system that gives you a success rate for converting new patient callers? Because I can throw all the money at pain-free dental marketing in the world, but if my team isn't built on converting new patient calls, number one, we're going to fail. Game over. Can't even get to step two.
No, the number one reason that we lose accounts is not mistakes or personality fits or someone didn't value marketing. It is we are driving phone calls, and those phone calls are not converting to new patients.
Okay, I get it.
The number one reason.
What is the percentage you see? Do you have a statistic on success rate for scheduling new patient calls across the board? Or before?
Yeah, yes. For a fee-for-service office, we see somewhere between 50 to 60% of calls scheduled.
Wow. Do you give them a goal of what you want them to schedule?
I would love it to be, north of 70, 75.
I would say 80. I would say 80, 85. Okay. So we're close.
And some do. Yeah. Now, I think I think the delta may be when you kick off some of the channels that we kick off on Facebook and Instagram and Google, you're going to go through a vision period to where you may be driving some patients not from areas that want a fee-for-service dentist. That you're gonna go through a period of tire kickers to hone in your audience. But I don't hate your number. I just have never seen it.
Yeah. So you've never seen anyone get to 80, 85%?
Of total calls in call rail? No. That'd be pretty. No, I've seen it high.
75%.
Sure. Okay. But I don't want to. But typically, I see it around 50 to 60% for a fee-for-service office.
So think about that number.
Now, a PPO office, I have seen it very, very high.
It's gonna be high. Okay. So think about that number from let's quantify that dollar. Okay. New patient value. What would you give a new patient value?
In a year or a lifetime?
Just you pick. I don't care.
I would say a new patient's probably worth $700 in a year.
Okay, so we use 900. It's about the value of 2 cleanings and half a crown in a practice. Okay, so it's annual value. Lifetime value 4,500.
I'll go. I'd say 5, but okay.
Okay, let's say 5,000. Okay, so you can use either one. Let's say a practice is getting 10 new patients a month. Pretty low. Okay, they're getting 20 calls a month, and they're not scheduling 10. If we could just get 5 of those per month at annual value, right? That's 5,000 a month, 60,000 a year.
Yep.
That's pretty okay. But lifetime value at 5,000, right? That's 25,000 a month. That's 300,000 a year. Is that math right? It's late in the day. I think that's right.
I think it's close.
I think it's close. Let's say it's $300,000 a year for 5 new patients a month that we didn't convert. The value is a minimum of $60,000 that year to $300,000 over probably the next 4 or 5 years. Compound that every single month, every single year. Okay.
Right. And they're bringing new patients in because you're hopefully giving them an amazing experience. Right.
They're a new vine. They're a new branch in your practice. Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is get your mind set right on the phone call. It's very important. Number 2, get a system that trains you to say, okay, this is the choice. This is how we're going to do it. This is an effective way to do it. We've seen it be effective if you use the system. Okay. Caveat inside that, ask for the appointment. You want to walk away with this. One simple thing you can do is say, how do you feel about going ahead and getting your first visit scheduled in our practice? You want to walk away with something from this podcast, from this meeting, walk away with just simply getting to a place on your phone call where you can say, how do you feel about moving forward and getting your first appointment scheduled in our practice? Just start asking that question. It's very open-ended. There's no pressure. Nobody should feel awkward with that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I have a question.
Sure.
It feels crazy to me that people don't ask for an appointment.
I know, because you know why?
Why
you know
not?
why? Because you're used to being in sales. People go into dentistry to try to avoid sales, and they don't recognize the fact that every profession requires sales. Even the pastor's selling Jesus. So we all have something to sell. It's a communication experience. So are you buying what I'm selling? Are you picking up what I'm laying down here? And selling requires asking questions. They don't have to be pressure filled. You do not have to say, do you see any good reason why you wouldn't want to go ahead and get that new patient visit scheduled today? You don't have to do that. That's pressure filled. You can ask nicely, politely, and say, how do you feel about moving forward with this? And get a whole different response and immediately improve your results. Make sense?
So, it does. So what you're saying is 66% of the time, or I think you said somewhere
64.
in the mid 64. Thank you.
Listen. 70% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So you're right in line.
I was close enough for government work.
64% of people in dentistry don't ask for the appointment. They say things like, all right, you're all set. We'll see you next time. Go up front. She'll get you scheduled. Do you have any questions for me? We say stupid stuff like that.
Okay. So you're talking about in person and on the phone? Or
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Either way.
I see.
Yep.
I see.
In
I see.
dentistry.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a wildly, that number is just crazy.
Almost 2/3 of the time, we don't ask for the appointment. So the simple transition is start asking. And what it'll force your administrative team member to do is, I got to get into a place where I'm comfortable enough to asking you for the appointment, because I'm not going to lead with that question. That's awkward. Hi, how are you doing? How about we go ahead and get your appointment scheduled? That doesn't make sense. That's why it's in that sequence. That's why there's a flow to it in the great call process.
Gotcha.
So I build enough. Now it forces me to say, okay, if I got to get to a place where I ask, then I'm going to have to build some rapport with you. I'm going to have to engage, right? I'm going to have to get to that place where we have enough relationship so it's not transactional.
So butts in seats is summarized as new patient calls, getting new patients in, reappointing patients, solving your cancellations that come in, making sure that you're getting your schedule full, working your days, right? So
overdue hygiene.
All of the activity around getting a person in the practice, keeping the schedule full.
That's right.
I love it.
Yes. It's about asking the patient to come in. There's a request there. We don't even call the patient. How could we ask them? So you want to get a system in place today to get butts in seats, learn to ask questions. And number 2 is make sure that while they're there, we're getting them as healthy as possible in as few visits as possible. In hygiene, you're a 1-to-1 ratio. You're one patient per hour. That's the goal. If you don't get any cancellations, you got 8 hours, you got 8 patients, and you're producing somewhere between 175, north of 175 per visit, 175 per hour. If your cancellation rate is along the national average of 33%, you're going to struggle to hit that. You're going to be well below that. If you're succumbing to the pressure of in-network PPO insurance plans, you're going to have a 42% reduction of that. You're going to struggle there too.
Sure.
So our KPIs are going to monitor that number for you in hygiene. And what do you do in the hygiene visit to get to that number? All sorts of things that we offer there. Now, shift to the doctor side for a moment, okay? The minimum there, that 1 patient per hour ratio, doctor works about 110 hours a month, sees about 100 to 110 patients, produces $500 minimum per hour per patient. So $53,000 a month. That's the minimum. If you're not at that minimum mark, we got some great quick improvements to do there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're already over that mark, now you're just challenging yourself to say, okay, what's my 5 to 10% growth every year to get better and more effective and efficient at that? Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
I have a doctor on the East Coast. She's producing $333 an hour per patient on the doctor side. I have a doctor on the West Coast producing $1,100 per patient per hour. Both are very highly trained, skilled technicians. The question you have to ask yourself is, what's the difference? Number one, mindset. One has a lot of belief in themselves.
Mm-hmm. Confidence.
Right? That confidence, that 10 in their forehead. It's not wavering. The patient's not picking up on that lack of confidence. Number two, they have a system that they're following for case acceptance. They have a structured format. They have a team built around it, and they follow a protocol, a system, not scripting, a system for getting case acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you know? To give you another example, have an associate, okay, and in this practice, and the senior doctor's going, this associate's not producing. Well, there's something wrong with the case acceptance. Well, they're going through all the training. The team's all the same. Everything should be the same. What's going on? Well, come to find out, when it all boils down to it, senior doctors taking patients off the associate schedule, putting on senior doctor schedule to fill his schedule, and then complaining that there's not enough production happening in the associate schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to dig deeper in the numbers sometimes to see what's working. So we put a case presentation tracker in place.
Yeah.
And so this will tell you if you're getting enough dentistry per sit down. And so I'll often ask patients, and let's see what your perspective on this is too. I'll be curious, what should our case acceptance percentage be? And if I ask you that, what's your feedback on that? What do you perceive there? Yeah.
I mean, I want it to be 100%.
I know you want it to be 100%. I know. Okay.
I want it to be 100 because, okay, I will tell you my philosophy.
Okay.
Now, and we talked a lot, but it's interesting as you're talking, it triggered another emotion that I don't want to spend too much time on. But like, do you know one of the red flags that we have when we start talking to a new client is when they throw out, I want to see 80 to 100 new patients a month. It literally scares me like, what in the world would you actually do?
What would you do with that?
Like,
you're only able to see 100 patients a month as it is. If you saw 100 new patients at $200 a new patient, you'd go under. Oh, I'll put them on hygiene.
Yeah.
Well, same difference. You got to do the cleanings at some point.
Yeah. And the other thing that red flag is, I like one doctor to have 2 hygiene chairs. 3 starts to see a decline in that, and I'm circling back around to your question, and to the effectiveness, because now you've given up so much time to connect with those patients.
Right.
When you do say, hey, Eric, I've been in through the x-ray and I've been monitoring this. We talked about it a couple of times. It's time to put a crown on that. Here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. We can move, the only reason I want 100% case acceptance is I believe that I want to be taken along the emotional journey. And if you've been patient with me and you've taken me along the emotional journey, why would it should be 100%.
Okay. So let's dive into this. Most people don't know this number. They have a feeling, but they don't know this number. And I'll ask this question, go, oh yeah, 80, 85%.
I would have guessed 85.
Okay. That's what most people are thinking. 22 years of this, I finally figured out a few years ago that there's actually 2 numbers you have to know. Okay. 85% of what? Because if I were interviewing 2 treatment coordinators for the position, and one tells me I get 100% case acceptance every month, the other one tells me I get 60% case acceptance of every month. Which one are you going to hire?
100%.
You think.
Sure.
And then you find out, you say, well, what's the dollar amount you're presenting 100%, lady? And she says, oh, I present $5,000 a month. I get all of it. And the one who's getting 60% presents $100,000 a month. Which one do you want? Back to mindset and confidence to deliver that. Now, if you're presenting $119,000 a month and you're getting 13,000 scheduled, that's not a confidence problem. That's a verbal skill problem. That's a communication problem. And there's a system for that. Case acceptance training has a process. And so to get to the numbers we want, we track 2. We say we want 80% of the people scheduling something, and we want 60% of the dollars that have been presented scheduled. So we track both of those numbers to make sure we do that. And if we're not getting that, we have a whole list. And there's a follow-up call on who's not doing what. And our doctors can look at that with their treatment coordinator and say, all right, we're going to follow up with these people. What's my virtual, follow-up consultation like? When are they coming back to see me in hygiene? What's the next step? There's always got to be a next step. If there's no next step, they didn't not accept treatment. They canceled you, right? They're moving on. You have bad mojo. You didn't connect with them. You didn't build rapport. So we are in the tooth industry, but we're in the relationship business. And so when we work on relationship management, sales with our clients, it's all to fix those 2 numbers, 80-60. That make sense?
It does. In fact, we often tell our clients that we are very clear about, you're hiring a marketing team, but I am not selling Invisalign. I'm not selling implants. I'm not selling all-on-4s. I'm not selling prepless veneers. I can get you patients interested in them, but I am really selling a connection between you and a prospective patient.
An opportunity.
And you're going to have to take it home, because I promise you that the guys out there that are doing, 30 arches a month or 7 full mouth reconstructions a month, they in the beginning, and for some period of time before they built up social proof and had the confidence to do it and became sought after, they did it by making a connection with patients and demonstrating excellence and very strongly developing the trust to do it. And that's what it's about. We are in the relationship business.
That's right. You mentioned the keyword trust. And if you can build that trust to a place in your communication style where they're actually hearing what you're saying, they really believe you, they like you, they trust you, they want you to have a connection with them, you develop relationship with them, they're more likely to pay attention to what it is you're talking about and be open-minded to it. But if they don't understand it and you don't have a connection to why they would want to get it taken care of, you're missing opportunities to get people healthy. So our system's all built around, our system's all built around finding what the patient wants and why, and then also allowing a co-diagnosis experience to happen so the patient has the inspiration to want to get it taken care of. We're not trying to tell people what they need to do. That's a 4-letter word, need. We're really providing a solution to something that they wanted. And that's where you can get larger case acceptance on a regular basis when you follow that system. Our coaches are amazing at teaching this.
Man, Eric, it is always a pleasure to get to speak to you. I aspire to be taller with more hair and more handsome.
I just want to be
I'm a 10.
Awesome as you. I just want to be as awesome as you. So hey, I really appreciate you.
I noticed you have a tattoo on your finger. Does that stand for Andre?
The A
Anaheim.
Don't tell Abby. It stands for Andre. Yes.
It stands for Andre.
It stands for Andre. Yes.
Okay.
I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for being on. And that was your Bite of Dental Marketing.